Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Once again, how y'all doing tonight? This is the Club of DaMan's 1993, and I'm here to talk a little bit about AEW once again. Another, as I like to call it, the State of the Union with AEW, since I do not review AEW too often right now. And I don't know anytime soon if I ever will again. Again, it's just, I say this to you all the time, besides the fact that I just got a lot going on. I just still feel like AEW, talking about that with anybody, it feels like a ticking time bomb. It just sets a ton of people off. Me as a wrestling fan, I still enjoy it. Has it gone through its cold period? Yes. It's been pretty cold and pretty downhill since, I would dare to say, since Brawl Out from 2022. I don't think AEW has ever recovered since and ever gone back onto the level it was. Some could say, and I can agree as well, things started to go a little downhill whenever they started, doing their partnerships with, Ring of Honor. Well, Toni bought out Ring of Honor. And it's put a ton more on his plate. We all know the back and forthness. I am going to open the door a little bit more, though, within the next month or two with AEW. Because I do want to kind of hype up All In. I will do a preview and predictions video the week of All In. And I will also do a live review of All In. As, of course, it is the biggest show of the year for AEW. I'm interested in several matches already that I've set up. So I wanted to kind of talk about a couple things. I almost turned this into an actual Dynamite review. Especially from Beach Break. Because of one big thing that happened on that show. And then, of course, another thing that happened on that show. And then kind of touch on a little bit of the other things. Well, mainly the winners of the Owen Hart Cups. Which were, surprisingly, Bryan Danielson. But we have had the return of Hangman Adam Page, that I want to talk about briefly. And the winner of the women's Owen Hart Cup, Mariah, who had one of the best female heel turns, I gotta say, last week's episode of Dynamite. So I want to talk about a couple topics here. So again, I kind of did this when I did my whole State of the Union, as I call it, from the last AEW video, which was mainly talking about, the new elite and how I will still say this, I get what they're doing with it. To me, it's not knocking it out of the park as it should be. And I still say the big problem is the fact that they're once again still relying on getting them heat because of CM Punk and his incident with Jack Perry at All In last year. They have not moved on from that. And I still think Tony Khan has just gone insane. But, of course, there are some things that are happening that do have me excited. I would say the first topic I should talk about, of course, though, from the four, of course, that's above here, is definitely the winners of the Owen Hart Cup. Which, of course, for the men's, to my surprise, I was very surprised by this one. Bryan Danielson. Daniel Bryan, my favorite of all time, won the Owen Hart Cup. And the winners of the Owen Hart Cups will be getting world title matches at All In. So that means Bryan will be taking on Swerve Strickland for the world title. Now, on paper, don't get me wrong, that's a phenomenal match. I still think, and I do still have to watch it from Forbidden Door, I still think that they should have saved Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay. But Will Ospreay, apparently rumors have it, and again, I know Swerve, of course, at this point did retain at Forbidden Door. I still have not had a chance yet, though, to watch the match, and I do want to live react to it. I'm hoping to do that this week, live react to Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay from Forbidden Door. But apparently, Will Ospreay wanted to put over Swerve Strickland before the biggest show of the year to show that, hey, although I am probably one of the more popular guys on the roster right now, don't forget, your champ is Swerve Strickland. And he wanted to kind of like clear those doubters that he's just filling a void and put over Strickland in a big way at Forbidden Door. Much respect, of course, to Will Ospreay for that. But, of course, when this tournament was set up, and, of course, when it was obvious after a while the wild card was going to be Hangman Adam Page, who was pretty much a heel, but I feel like he's one of those, like, heels that are transitioning. Like, you know he's a heel, but he hasn't 100% solidified himself as a heel yet. Especially the fact that, obviously, the Young Bucks are sucking up to him. He wants nothing to do with them. But eventually, I think he will. And everybody's saying that at some point, you know, right now, the Young Bucks have the tag titles. Jack Perry has the TNT Championship. At some point, Hangman's probably going to win the world title off of Swerve. I thought it was going to be at All In, but it's not. But the thing, though, too, is that bothers me a wee bit about doing Swerve and Bryan instead, is the fact that Bryan has made it clear that he does not think he needs to win the AEW world title. Knowing he has that mindset, I can understand why people would not be interested in his match at All In. Because of the fact that they know Swerve is probably going to win. I think Swerve is going to win, for sure. The reason why, of course, I thought it was going to be Hangman is because, of course, him and Swerve have history. They feuded last fall, having matches at Wrestle Dream. I never watched Wrestle Dream. And their Texas Death Match, which was awesome, at Full Gear. And Swerve has gotten the upper hand every time on Hangman. So much so that in a triple threat, this from, I think it was Revolution? Yeah, Revolution, with Swerve, Joe, and Hangman, that Hangman was willing to lose to stop Swerve from winning the title. Of course, storyline-wise, he was suspended, but he was taking some time off. Swerve still got, of course, his rematch and won at Dynasty, and basically Hangman's gone out of his way to make sure to try to stop Swerve from taking over after how personal their feud got last fall. So I thought that with Hangman coming back and him probably eventually joining the New Elite, that with his history with Swerve, he would dethrone him and finally get the win. Even though, of course, since their feud, it's kind of pretty much been a double turn. Swerve's become the face. Hangman is now the heel. So I thought that was all going to happen at All In. The thing, though, of course, is even if they would do Hangman and Swerve once again, how do you top a Texas Death Match with how crazy it was? That might be another reason why maybe they might have saved another match with number 3 with Hangman and Swerve until afterwards. Maybe they could do it at All Out. Who knows? Maybe if they do Wrestle Dream. I don't know what the pay-per-view schedule is like. I know they're doing All Out 2 weeks after All In, which I still think is dumb that they're doing pay-per-views that close together with absolutely no build for All Out. So it doesn't make the $50 worth it at all. I don't plan on watching All Out right now. All In, I'm going all in on. No pun intended, of course. But yeah, I guess that's my only little gripe there. But I do like, of course, the transition from Hangman and Page. Eventually, though, he is going to join the Elite. Now, Mariah May surprisingly won the tournament. Of course, it was teased for a while. I figured she was going to win after she beat Saraya. But at first I was like, okay, I love Saraya, but you gotta be real, she has not had the best booking in AEW. And I still don't know if, despite being cleared, she's still limited, but it hasn't knocked it out of the park. And of course, like a year and a half ago, we were all popping on the idea of the Outcasts and maybe set for an eventual women's blood and guts match. And the stable went nowhere, and now she's just randomly getting new people like Harley Cameron and Anna Jay now, and I'm just kind of like, this is going nowhere. But Mariah May, of course, who was Toni Storm's idol, wins the tournament, and immediately, instead of turning into a friendly competition between teacher versus student, it turns into a more personal feud when Mariah May turned heel and beat of course, in England, the bloody crap out of timeless Toni Storm. Including, of course, wedging the bottom of her heel into the face. That was freaking vicious. Look, I think Toni Storm's awesome. Mariah May, of course, has grown on me pretty quickly. But I don't think she's going to beat Toni for the title, if I'm being honest, at All In. I think she's going to develop a character and develop momentum in this feud with Toni. I don't see her being the one, though, to dethrone Toni. I don't. I keep hearing that Jamie Hayter's due back soon. I still think that's supposed to be a match, even though right now it kind of feels like Toni Storm's somewhat of a face. And Jamie's probably going to be greeted as a face when she comes back. But I gotta give Mariah credit. That heel turn was definitely one of the best endings to Dynamite we have seen in a long time, for sure. And I don't see her winning the title, but I think she will have a strong character development during this feud with her and Toni Storm. And again, that will be a very interesting match, of course, to see when it comes to All In. But congrats again to our Owen Hart Cup winners, Bryan, Danielson. Again, I'm still surprised, but again, the match with him and Swerve I still think will be good. But again, I just think it's a little bit predictable. And not quite as personal as him and Hangman would have been. But again, we shall see what happens at All In. I'd say right now, the match I'm the second most excited for, I would say. Well, maybe the most excited for right now, I would say. Because we were setting up something else, I thought. But now we're getting it next week. And we're seemingly getting another match involving Will Ospreay at All In. We'll talk about it when we get to the fourth topic. The fourth thing. But I do really am intrigued by this match with Mercedes Mone and Britt Baker. Now, as most of you saw, Britt Baker did make a return at Forbidden Door after Mercedes Mone defended her, became a double champ, the TBS champion, the New Japan Pro Wrestling Women's Champ, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know. From now WWE superstar Stephanie Vacquer, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but she did just sign with WWE, and she's supposed to be reporting NXT, which is awesome. I was impressed by her at Forbidden Door. But, of course, after the match is when Britt Baker returned. And, of course, Britt did address us about her return. Yes, she was banged up. But she also did deal with some scary health problems. She apparently did suffer from a TIA, which is a mini stroke. I know that because my grandmother has suffered a couple of those herself, which, I've never seen them happen. But, of course, obviously, it's a scary knowing that they happen. There's someone like Britt who's just a couple years older than me, too. And shoot, she went through some scary health problems. Adam Cole did. Before he made his return last year, at the beginning of the year. Of course, he's still out with that ankle injury, Which, of course, when we talk about our number one, our last topic, it's kind of laughable now that the Undisputed Kingdom is basically completely pointless because their big foil is now also on the same dark side as them again. But obviously, it's like the DMD, the original, like the biggest name for AEW is probably built. The first woman to sign with AEW versus one of the best in the business, Mercedes Mone. And I think that's going to be a hot match for sure at All In. And Mercedes also has seemingly embraced this role more and more as a heel. Because, let's face it, the crowd turned on her and was getting behind Stephanie Vaquer at Forbidden Door. And as we, of course, saw in WWE, Mercedes is definitely at her best as a heel. Being all cocky, thinking that she's got it all. And, I mean, so far she technically has. She has full creative control. Her first match in AEW was a title match. That's all she's had so far is title matches. And, the arrogance, obviously, again, the crowd's going to turn on her. And sympathize with the actual AEW great, Britt Baker, who's still popular. Yes, should also be a heel, but, this is the honeymoon period where everybody's happy to see her back. And sympathy on her, especially for the health problems she dealt with. But that would be awesome. That, honestly, I could see a match between those two, honestly, main eventing the show. It's not going to happen. It's probably going to be Bryan Danielson and Bryan Danielson and Swerve Strickland. But imagine that match being the main event of a pay-per-view. Mercedes Mone and Britt Baker? Ooh, that'd be hot. The last thing that I want to talk about, and the real inspiration for me wanting to do an AEW video, is MJF. MJF did return at Double or Nothing with open arms. But then at Beach Break, after he put out a challenge to Daniel Garcia, who has had a bunch of start and stop pushes in AEW, he then, instead of giving Max a quick answer, he did give a quick answer, though, to Will Ospreay. And when he challenged Will Ospreay for the international title at Beach Break, which of course was the fallout from Forbidden Door, where Ospreay could have been double champ, but he wasn't. After the match, when MJF tried to cause a distraction and it flopped, MJF went back to his old roots as a heel and attacked Danny Garcia. We have not seen Garcia since, of course, and MJF did appear on Collision, and I did watch the segment where he shows us, of course, how he opened up to us. He gave us all a chance. Instead, though, he just felt betrayed. He felt like, we pushed him aside whenever he left for his injury. He also didn't like how on the first Dynamite, after he dropped the title, that everybody was chanting, "Thank you, Joe," to Samoa Joe, who won the world title from MJF at World's End. And he felt betrayed, so he's going back to his old roots. He's like, that's it. I tried to, give you guys a shot, and you all blew it. Now, I thought that was setting up for MJF and Will Ospreay for All In. Which, face it, is an All-In worthy match. But we're actually getting it next week on Dynamite. Which I still say, again, that's not a match you put for free on live TV. You put that on a big stage like Wembley Stadium. But we're doing it next week. And then we had a number one contenders match for the international title, and Pac won it. And heck, look at it, face it, Pac's from Britain as well. So it looks like we're going to get Will Ospreay versus Pac at All In. Not going to say no to that match. It's going to be freaking awesome, but it's like, we all know that MJF and Will Ospreay is in fact a bigger match. So my guess at this point is I think we're going to do Will Ospreay and Pac And I guess you gotta do Daniel Garcia and MJF. Of course, my fear is will they give Daniel Garcia that win? Again, we've had so many start and stop pushes for Daniel Garcia. Such as the You're a Wrestler storyline, to him, getting that big, underdog victory in the Continental Classic against Brody King, to him feuding with Christian Cage for the TNT Championship for, I believe, was it Revolution or was it sooner? I don't even remember at this point. But my point, though, is if you're going to do MJF and Daniel Garcia with MJF being a heel again, then you better put over Daniel Garcia. Also, as I said before, now, of course, that MJF is a heel again. The main foil, the thing that kept him out, and he kind of got his revenge on, but of course he wasn't fully medically cleared to compete, is Adam Cole and the Undisputed Kingdom. Now, Undisputed Kingdom's booking has flopped big time. So is it even worth doing it whenever Adam Cole is 100% cleared? Because trust me, I do think Wardlow's getting out of there when his contract expires soon. They have definitely also done him a lot of start and stop pushes as well, and it's flubbed. So, to me, the Undisputed Kingdom is basically dead. Like, MJF's a heel now. There's no reason to do Undisputed Kingdom. It's just a dead gimmick, I feel like. But, yeah, I'm definitely surprised, though, with this MJF heel turn. But to me, it's kind of like you go back and think how, MJF kind of fooled us. This is kind of an MJF fool. Us thinking that we could trust him. But then, of course, he doesn't feel that he can trust them, and he turns on all of us. But, again, I would like to see him and Daniel Garcia at All In, if they're going to put him over. And, of course, to see where the role goes further. Again, I have no clue what's going on with Undisputed Kingdom. I have no idea also of Adam Cole when he's even going to come back. Because although, yes, we see him, and every time we've seen him, he's no longer on crutches. He did take a nice bump with a suplex from MJF when he came back at Double or Nothing. But again, I gotta say, what is his purpose? I'm sorry, that's more for Undisputed Kingdom. But Daniel Garcia, is it worth getting invested over him getting this big shot against MJF? But is he going to actually come through a winner as he should? Or is he going to lose again and do the same start and stop pushes? I don't know. But we'll have to wait and see. And yeah, guys, that's my brief, State of the Union, as I want to call it, for the hot start, for the hot build for AEW All In. Again, some stuff, I'm still mad about, of course, especially the stuff with Chris Jericho and the Learning Tree. I hate that gimmick. It's so dumb. I hate it more and more and more when I see it. And I'm sorry. I still think Jericho is one of the best of all time. But I think we are showing the signs that Jericho just doesn't quite have it anymore. And he could be, in the last lap or two of his career. But we'll see what happens, of course, down the line. Once he, of course, gets out of this Learning Tree gimmick that I just can't stand. So, guys, what are your thoughts on the stuff I talked about for the start of the build for All In being pretty hot? If you guys thoughts, get them down in the comment section below. The MJF heel turn. The early card that looks to be predicted for All In. If you guys thoughts, get them down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content to come to my channel. Twitter and Instagram pages will be coming back soon. You can also follow me in the meantime on TikTok at the Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'll catch y'all later. Have a great night. Get some rest. And do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!